work at Special Court was when he helped to pioneer the outreach section of the court, the first ever initiated by an international court. Through this outreach, the court was able to engage the victims in the court process. He traveled across the country with Sierra Leoneans to help engage the victims in the court proceedings in a meaningful way. This strategy has now been adopted by many international criminal courts around the world. He was also very instrumental in empowering local human rights organizations in Sierra Leone. He is one of the international personnel that every Sierra Leonean loved. He will only come into your office when he have identified that you need some resources. He will walk in, walk with you, and once you have the resources, you will never see him again. You will call him, hey, what is going on? I think you guys are great. You are just fine. He's not like other international individuals that go out here, look out for resources, and they want to kind of push and pull you around to direct you. No. He trusts the community. He believes that people need to be empowered to function independently. And that's the kind of person I've come to know. He is running to become the Democratic candidate for the upcoming governor's race in Virginia. Once I call his name, I want to believe some of us might have seen some of his commercial on the TV. We need all of your support for this brother of ours. He was there when everyone else forsook us. He was there when we needed him most. He was there through thick and thin. He never gave up. He always believed in us as Sierra Leoneans. He was never there to micromanage us, but he was there to empower even the least of the activists. I remember the first time I took him out to Tombo. I think that was his first time outside of Freetown. We are supporting a community radio station in Tombo. And so he was sent by Osiwa, which was the grantor, to go there and evaluate the award. And so we went there and we met with this community young guys, and they told us that, oh, you don't mind for us to interview at the radio station? Then he looked at me, Sheko, you think that's okay? I said, sure. And so we went in there and he said, what can I say? I said, just be at ease. I know you can do it, you know. And we have just known each other like for 3 days, less than a week. And so they started interviewing this gentleman. You can't believe he was gone. He became part of the community. They fall in love with him. And that's the kind of person he is. He believed in the grassroots. He believed in community building. He believed in bringing people together. He believed in empowering people. It is my honor and privilege to present the Community Builders Award to the former Congressman, Tom Perriello. Yes, sir.
Kusha. So you named Tom Perriello. And the only thing I can remember beyond that is tell God thank you. So, thank you so much, first of all, for making me feel so welcome when I moved to Sierra Leone. My 2 years in Salon were the best of my life. And my experience there with Sheku and with others changed my life. And I draw from the reservoir of goodwill and hope that I took from that experience. I was born and raised in Charlottesville, Virginia. Have any of you been to Charlottesville? All right, all right. It is a long way from Sierra Leone. So, my father was the son of immigrants from Italy here in this country, and he got a scholarship to go to the University of Virginia. And that was his ticket into the middle class and the American dream. So I got to grow up around Charlottesville with great public schools, with all of the history that entailed. And he instilled in me a sense that for those who have been given much, much is expected. And so I was blessed enough to lead a life of service, and that took me at the end of law school over to Sierra Leone. Started work there around 2000, 2001, as Sheku mentioned. And I showed up, and I just started working with Va College, and I really said, what can I do here that's helpful at all? And people there, including people trying to get the peace deal, which, let's face it, it was mostly women who were doing the good work in Sierra Leone. And I'll never forget, one of them sat me down when I was visiting there and said, you need to move to Sierra Leone. You need to help us get this peace deal. And I said, what can I possibly do to be helpful? And she said, well, if you're standing next to me, I'm less likely to get shot, and that would be really helpful. And that was the best job pitch I'd ever been given. So I tore up my signing bonus out of law school and decided to move to Sierra Leone. And I really just took so much inspiration. And, you know, when years later I got elected to Congress from my home district around Central and Southside Virginia, no Democrat had come within 20 points of winning that race. And I ran against one of the most racist demagogues in Congress. And, you know, whenever people said, why did you think you could possibly win that race? I was 36% behind. And I remembered every time thinking, everyone had written Sierra Leone off. Everyone had said this war could never end. Everyone said it wasn't possible, things could get better. Except that courageous group of people in the country who kept saying, no, this is our home. This is our country. Failure is not an option. And when I got to Congress, you know, I got elected with Barack Obama in 2008, and we went up, and the country was about to go into a Great Depression, and we were able to pass a stimulus bill to prevent that depression. And then I actually got the opportunity to vote for the Affordable Care Act, which I was very proud to do. And it was funny because at the time, all of these, you know, people at the White House and people in the national press were like, oh, that's so much courage. You're showing so much courage to vote for the Affordable Care Act. I was like, courage is what the women in Sierra Leone did who stood up to demand peace. That's courage. The worst thing that happens to me is that I lose office. And as I said at the time, there are a lot worse things in the world than being a former member of Congress. That was a pretty good gig, and President Obama asked me to continue serving in his administration after that. And I got to do some work, including most recently, I was his special envoy for the African Great Lakes region. So I was working on the love for the Great Lakes. It's not all West Coast. So I was able to work mainly on the Burundi peace process and the issues in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and got to serve and represent not just my country, but my president, which at the time was Barack Obama. I feel a little differently about that. But anyway, I just wanted to really have two messages tonight, because I know you have about 57 awards to give out tonight, as far as I can count. The first was really to say thank you. I can't tell you how much your country has meant to me and to my life, how much it shaped who I am and who I hope to be and aspire to be. And the second is to ask you for something. And what I'm asking you for is to pay attention between now and June 13th to this governor's race in Virginia. I'm one of 2 Democrats running to be your next governor. And that vote will be on June 13th. The deadline for registering to vote is May 22nd. So I hope everyone here is registered to vote. But I also need you to make sure everyone in your family who's allowed to vote is registered to vote. Everyone you work with is registered to vote. Everyone you pray with is registered to vote between now and May 22nd. Now, I hope you will do this because I frankly hope you're going to come out and vote for me. I'm not going to lie. But there's something else about this vote on June 13th. It is the first statewide vote anywhere in the country since Donald Trump won election. And that means this is our first chance to show that he has changed everything and we're not going to sit and take it. All right? There are people in the White House right now, and there are a bunch of Republicans in Congress, including some of them who took that boneheaded vote a couple of days ago to undermine our healthcare system. And what they're asking is, all right, we can see these people can protest, but do they know how to vote? And if all they see is people showing up for protests at Dulles Airport and at the Women's March, but we don't turn that into political power at the polls, they can brush that off. But if what they see is that when Donald Trump runs what I believe was the most racist campaign of my lifetime, and the most sexist campaign of my lifetime, and is coming in and Lord knows what he is going to do tomorrow, that has created and unleashed a diverse and progressive coalition across Virginia and across the country that is not going to be stopped. So I believe we can do certain things here in Virginia. One, we can stand against that agenda of hate that is coming from the Trump administration. Two, I believe we have to revive and resuscitate the American dream that my father got to experience. Because I'll tell you what, my father worked hard. He didn't have anything growing up and got that scholarship to go to UVA. He worked 2 work-study jobs, but he then came out of college debt-free. Today, the average load of student debt coming out of college is $35,000 in Virginia. So mine is I'm the first candidate in Virginia history to stand for at least 2 years of free community college, trade school, or apprenticeship program. And we know a lot of people are going with that 2+2 system where they start with 2 years of community college and then come in to the 4-year university. We also have a student refinance program on loans that could reduce student loan payments by $50 to $100 a month for those who are already carrying those loans. We also have a fully paid program for 8 weeks of paid family or medical leave, because we know too many folks finally get that job they can support their family with, and then they have an aging parent get sick, they got to take a few days off, and next thing they know, they've lost that job. You can go to tomforvirginia.com and check it out. But I want you to do a couple of things tonight when you go home or tomorrow after church, because I know you got to go to church.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. I hope you will just go home and email or tweet or WhatsApp or whatever you want to use everyone you know in Virginia, and let them know that an election is going on. Because my guess is many of you didn't even know there was a governor's race going on. My opponent in this race is not the other Democrat. My opponent is that nobody even knows there's a governor's race going on. So if you could, and be willing to do 2 things. 1, commit to vote on June 13th. And 2, make sure you let everybody know this race is going on, because it affects everything from criminal justice reform to public education to affordable higher education. My name is Tom Perriello. That's like Katy Perry in the color yellow. Perriello. All right? And again, I just appreciate so much you letting me be part of this evening. Thank you for how welcoming you were when I was in Sierra Leone, and I hope that we can make Virginia the most welcoming and inclusive it's ever been. Thank you, and God bless.